The year 2009, Baby Are You Down, Down, Down is playing at the club. Jay Sean featuring Lil Wayne. It's a song that would catapult Jay Sean to the top of the charts and make history as a South Asian.
And I'm talking with Natasha right here on Next Level Conversations. Peace.
Jay Sean, welcome.
Oh.
What's up? Last time I met you for the first time, we talked about your new record label that was launching.
Yes.
Virgin, 3 a.m.
Yes.
How's that going?
It's going really good, actually. It was such a major switch for my brain to go from artist mode into CEO mode.
Yeah.
And I love a challenge. So for me, I was like, okay, I'm so used to being the guy on the other side of the table, you know, getting all the special treatment, and then just tell him nicely, because you know artists, you know what they're like. But now, because I know what artists are like, I know how to handle them.
Right.
So being on the other side of the table, you understand what the artist needs. So even if it's, you know, when they're submitting songs and stuff and we're like, not too sure, we know I know especially how to delicately talk about it.
Right.
Because to an artist, that's their piece of work. That's their baby.
That's right.
So anyway, it's lovely. I love the challenge, and I'm really enjoying it.
And we talked about just having more South Asian diversity, and that's a big part of why you wanted to launch 3 a.m.
Yeah.
Talk to me about that. Like, what are some of the new collabs coming up?
Yeah. So, I mean, the way that we look at it is, you know, there's tons of artists out there in the world. There's lots of different opportunities for everybody. But what we're trying to put together is an infrastructure where artists from a South Asian background can feel supported and understood. And I think the reason why those things are important is that there are small nuances that mean a lot to people from a South Asian background that perhaps people who haven't lived that background wouldn't quite understand. And I'll give you an example. You know, just growing up in an atmosphere and an environment where you have so many different influences, whether it's, you know, Indian music, Bollywood, Punjabi, you know, hip hop, R&B, how to merge them, how to blend them, how to also be yourself and find yourself in a space where, you know, people don't look like you haven't been through the same things as you.
Yeah.
When you have people on the other side of the table, the suits as they were, who get those nuances, who understand that, then you feel supported. Otherwise, you're finding yourself always trying to explain why you did this. Why am I saying this in this part? Why am I singing about this? What does it even mean? You understand what I'm saying? So if you live the
100%.
culture,
right.
If you live the culture, you feel understood and supported as a South Asian artist. And that's what we're trying to provide all of our South Asian artists that we're signing.
Totally understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
I went through something similar in television too. It's just when you have another person of your culture on the other side, you feel so much understood.
Exactly.
Yeah. 2009, you make history with Down. I mean, you become the first South Asian to top Billboard 100, making history.
Yeah.
But your come up, you know, what were the challenges that you had to face? Because, you know, it took time to get there.
Yeah. You know, it's funny. I was always obviously aware of the fact that I was the only brown boy in mainstream music at the time. You know, we're talking 23 years ago maybe now. And when, you know, of course, there's always been the niche genres of the pockets of Indian South Asian music. So there's Bhangra, for example, there's Punjabi music, there's folk music, there's Bollywood music, but to have, of which there were massive artists, but a brown boy doing R&B pop music in a mainstream environment on stages alongside other mainstream artists, that was brand new. So I would be always very aware of the fact that I'm looking around going, no, I'm the only one here?
Yeah.
This is bizarre. We're the biggest demographic on planet Earth. Where's the rest of us?
Yeah.
But instead of letting that be something that intimidated me, it inspired me and it drove me. It was my sole motivation to go, I have an opportunity here to make a massive dent and a massive impression. And I've got to take it with both hands. And I don't care what challenges and obstacles would come in the way, or if there would be ignorance surrounding my culture or my music or my background or whatever it was. I dealt with that in a very delicate manner because I always knew what my end goal was. My end goal was to make an impression, to stick a flag in the ground for our people.
Yeah.
It wasn't about me. If I went, well, why are you saying that? That's not fair. That hurts my feelings. It doesn't matter about me. I was trying to do this for the scene. I was trying to do this for our people. So that when I had the chance to stand there on those stages, platforms like this, I can speak from a place of experience and from a place where many other people didn't have that window before into our culture. Now they get to hear about it and see it through my eyes. And I can change the perception and the stereotypes. I can abolish the stereotypes. And that's always what was driving me.
It's incredible. I also was reading that you were pursuing medicine.
Yeah.
So at what point did you realize that you didn't want to do that? And that's something is that something your family wanted? When did you want to pursue music?
Well, you see, it happened all simultaneously.
Yeah.
Okay. It was never a situation where I'm, studying medicine and go, I'm bored. I think I want to do something else. Ooh, let me try music. That's never gonna. It's never like that.
Just something within you for so long. It
Something
was
I
building.
always, exactly.
Yeah.
And it was something I always did. People have hobbies. It was my biggest hobby, making music.
When did you start?
Probably around the age of 12.
Okay.
11, 12, I would start writing raps. That's how it all began for me. I was obsessed with rap music, hip hop, and rhyming, beatboxing, DJing. All of it was I was absolutely obsessed with it, which meant it became my biggest hobby. I used to analyze music and songs that I liked, and well, how did he rap so fast? How did he do that bit? And I'd be like rewinding and forwarding. And this is before, of course, we had digital.
Right.
So think about the amount of time that I did to study music so that I could understand how they did what they did. I was doing it like a student. So whilst studying in school, I applied that same level of, deconstructing something to understand it to music. And I never gave up the music. I never gave up the hobby. I got into med school, got all the grades, got into med school. But why was I still doing music, even though being a medical student is hard enough?
Right. Yeah.
So like my mom and dad would think I'm crazy. They're like, dude, you're so busy studying for your medical exams. How do you even find time to make music? And it wasn't just making music. I was doing shows. I was on local festivals, promoting myself, trying to get on all these. And that's when I realized this is something that's not going away. This is something that I absolutely love. And to answer your question, how did I know when was the moment? It was literally when I had the record deal in front of me.
Wow.
I'm studying for my exams, but I'm also in record company offices showcasing music for a record contract. And once that Virgin deal came through, it was a no-brainer for me.
Was that a difficult decision to make for your family, with the family?
No.
Okay, they were supportive.
They were supportive from the beginning.
Good. Yeah.
I always joke about it and I tell people, it's not like I was doing all of this secretly, like driving to a record company by myself, not telling mom and dad that there's this massive opportunity.
They knew it and they saw it and they knew the talent was there.
And so then, of course, when it came down to when it was a choice, we already were in this together.
Yeah.
And what my mom and dad said, actually, which was really important, because I personally don't believe that you can fully chase a dream or a goal without the support of the people you love most and the blessings of the people you love most. It's going to be a lot more difficult. And my dad said, listen, he goes, there's two decisions that you're going to have to make for yourself in life. We can only guide you up until a point where it's then your choice. And that's going to be your life partner and that's going to be your career. Because those two you live with forever. Those two are your biggest choices you will ever make. And unless you make them for yourself, you are always going to be like, well, you told me to do this. You told me to marry that person. But if they're your own choices, you make them work. You have to make them work because they were your own choices. And so when it came down to me choosing music over medicine, my parents were like, listen, we see how you apply yourself. Just to get into medical school is hard enough. We kind of trust that you're going to put the same level of effort into music.
At that level, how old are you when you're signing to this record label?
My 20, early to I'm probably like 20 years old.
How do you manage the immense amount of stress and pressure at that time?
I never thought about it. And here's the thing, it's and when I say I never thought about it, I think you can get in your head, and quite a lot of the time when people get in their head, they stop listening to their heart and intuition. And I think as a creative and as an artist, we're all heart. It's all heart. if we ever sat down there and analyzed what we're doing, we would go, this is ridiculous, isn't it? What the hell what are we doing? What kind of job is this?
Right. Why are we doing this to ourselves?
Why are we, right? If you really sat down then, but when you're coming from a place of passion and your gut is just saying, forget everybody else and what they're saying, because they're making, no, I must do this and study this and get and apply for this job. We're the crazy ones who are going, actually, I want to change the world. I want to do some outlandish stuff that nobody else is brave enough to do. And it's only with that kind of personality and that kind of drive that pushes you to go and do something as insane as wanting to be a global pop star against all odds.
You did it.
The most odds, because there was never one who I could look at and go, he did it.
Right. Because there was no one that, well, that's a good question then. I wondered, who did you look up to? Who did you look up to?
It was the people that I was, influenced by musically, right? So at the time, I've always been sort of like a 90s R&B hip hop boy. That's what I was. That's what I grew up on. And I think that music for me at the time, I don't know, it just, I felt like it spoke to me. All my friends were into it. It's where we'd go out to clubs and they'll be playing R&B and hip hop. And that was the life that it was a culture that we lived in. But also like, you know, I would, because I would study those artists, I would understand and learn how to sing and where the emotion comes from, how to rhyme, how to construct a song. I would analyze these artists. It wasn't just like, it was literally methodically understanding what moves me about this music and why am I drawn to it. And that taught me how to write songs. It taught me how to sing. It was all just literally from listening to these artists that I was in love with. I never went to singing lessons. I never did anything like that. I didn't learn how to write songs in a class. It was something that I taught myself.
I think also you're born with it too. You know what I mean?
There's for sure. There has to be a natural talent there somewhere, I think.
In my reading of you and just kind of researching too, just I noticed that like you stuck to your guns a lot of times in your career, like for instance, R&B.
Yeah.
I mean, even when record labels wanted you to try out more like folk guitar, I think you were like, no, I'm going to do R&B. So you left and you started your own label back then too. Talk to me about just like sticking to your guns and even when, you know, you're being persuaded, and then how do you do that?
Yeah. I've always been like that. I think my whole life I've sort of known what I want out of life, and you know, I will own up to my own choices. Like, this is what my choice is, and I'm in control of my own destiny then. The minute I start giving other people the power to live my life, that makes no sense to me. So this is my art. This is my name behind it. It's not your name. You know, the guy behind the desk telling me, sing like this, sing that song, go in with that person, and, you know, sing this song on stage. Well, no, that's what you want, isn't it? It's not what I want. It's not my art. It's your interpretation of my art. So again, I've always said to people, if I put something out and it falls flat on its face, I can stand behind that because I made the choice to write that song. I made the choice to sing that song, record that song, promote that song, and perform that song. If it doesn't work, I can live with that. But if I go and do all of that and you're the one who told me how to do it and what to do, I can't live with that. And so for me, it has to be my choice. It's my art. It's my music. It's my life. It's my career.
You have to stay authentic to yourself.
That's all I can ever do.
Yeah. I want to talk about Down. How did the song come to be, and how did you get Lil Wayne to be on the track?
It was an amazing moment. You know, I've also very much believed that songs and music, art in itself as a whole, there's a massive spiritual element to all of this. And when I say that, I don't mean it in an airy-fairy sense. I mean, you don't know what's in the ether that day you wake up and you go to the studio. You can say, oh, today I'm going to write a big dance song, but you're feeling a certain way. Something happens. Someone cuts you off in the traffic. You hear some bad news. You whatever. Changes your mood. Now your mood isn't the same mood you thought it was going to be to get everyone dancing.
Yeah.
Now maybe you want to write a sad song, or you want to write a ballad, or you want to write a love song. Whatever it is, it changes. That day, we had already written a whole song and recorded a whole song in the studio in Miami. And it was like midnight by the time we'd finished, and we were getting ready to go home. And my producer at the time, who I was working with, he said, listen, so you know, for tomorrow, I'd like to work on this track. Let's have a listen to some tracks. And he played me just the instrumental for Down. Okay, so it had no song on top of it. And so he plays it. I'm sitting there, I'm listening, and all of a sudden melodies start coming. Let me get my phone. So when that happens, it's because it's there. It's in the ether. I fully believe the first melody that comes out of my head, if I don't record it, I'm missing something, because it was an instant feeling that it just gave me. And so therefore, I always record the first melody that comes out in my head. Then we kind of looked around the room. Everyone was like, I like that. Cool, all right. Let's not go home right now then, because clearly something's happening.
There's something there.
So instead of going home, me and my boy Jared, who I wrote the song with, we start going back and forth on the lyrics. And it was, at the time, it was the news was playing, and it was a recession going on.
Yeah.
And it was on the screen, and I was like, man, this is depressing times. Like, everyone's just so depressed. We need to make people feel happy. We need to make people feel like it's all going to be all right. And that kind of gave us a feeling. Again, had that not been on the TV, we might have written about something else. And so eventually we started writing about, it's okay, we're going to be all right. If I got you, we're good. No matter what happens in the world, even if the sky falls down, I got you. And that's how the lyrics came about. And before you knew it, we had already written the song within a couple of hours. It's like 3 o'clock in the morning now.
You wrote it that night.
3 a.m.
Yeah.
Is also the reason why we called it that.
Interesting. Okay.
Right?
Yeah. Your record label's name. Yeah.
Wrote it and recorded it, had it finished by 3 a.m. and was listening to it. And at that point, it was just us two, my producer Jeremy and Robert and Perkins. There were like 5 people in the room. We were the only people who knew that song existed. And then the next minute's all over the whole world. So
it's amazing. And then at what point did you try to get Lil Wayne on?
Oh, so we played it to Cash Money.
Yeah.
And the CEO, one of the CEOs, he was convinced right from the first play that this was going to be my first single. Now, bear in mind, I'd only been signed like 2 weeks. I had done maybe 3 or 4 other songs. He heard this, and he was like, this is going out. This is the one. This is the first song you're putting out in America. And then the Wayne was a little gift. Because, of course, I was like, I might as well talk to Wayne, right? Get Wayne on it. Play Wayne the song. I said it as my cheeky British little way. And he was like, all right, man, I'll see what I can do. And then, of course, one day calls me up and says, there's a problem with the song. I said, what do you mean? He goes, you're going to have to come down, man. Listen to it. There's something weird in the song. And, of course, the weird part was his little surprise of Lil Wayne's vocals. We all freaked out.
Oh, my God.
In the room, because it was a total surprise to us. And, of course, it ended up being one of the most iconic verses, I think, from a feature that, I mean, everybody knows the words to that Lil Wayne verse. They look forward to it. It was an amazing, amazing moment.
Even to this day, I'll see Down just like play on TikTok, you know? What's that feeling like? I mean, it's become relevant for so much time has elapsed. Yeah.
Of course, it's a blessing, right? It's the biggest blessing. I mean, just on the way here yesterday, I was driving down to go and see Sebastian Maniscalco at Prudential Center. The minute I switched on the car, it was playing on Z100.
No way.
Literally. And I was like, this is amazing. It's a recurrent now. It's a classic. And I can say confidently that to be able to have a classic now in 2025 is really, really difficult. I'll tell you why? Because look at our attention spans.
We're talking about this. Yeah.
People will listen to a song now maybe 3 times and they'll be like, all right, what's next?
Yeah.
And we'll be like, what? The song came out yesterday. Can you listen to it a few more times, please? But what did you do? You listened to Down 1 million times. Every time. It was on radio every hour of every day on every radio station across the whole world. It was like you couldn't get it out of your head even if you wanted to.
It's a great song, and I think now also it's nostalgia for so many people.
Yeah.
They remember where they were when they first heard the song.
Exactly.
And it puts you in that vibe. Like, I'll just see on TikTok, I'll be like, Down is playing and you're in the club and it's this year and it's just like everyone's chasing that feeling.
I love that. I love that so much that it does that. You know, music has this uncanny ability to be able to transport you in time. And like you said, you remember exactly where you were. And for, you know, I think a lot of the time for most people, it actually reminds them of a good time.
Yeah.
It reminds them maybe of when, you know, a few years have gone by now. Some of them were in middle school or whatever, or they were like, you know, they were at university. Maybe it was a song they used to get ready to, and whatever, party to. And I think it makes them feel good.
Yeah.
And that is the biggest compliment to an artist, when you can be associated with that feeling, you know, or one of your songs. And it's always something that, you know, I appreciate. I'm extremely grateful for.
Do your kids know how cool you are?
You know, it's funny. It's funny you say that, because you ask any celebrity dad, they'll be like, my kids do not think I'm cool. You're just the nerdy, goofy dad, which I am, thank God, to my kids still. Just nerdy dad. But I think it's funny because they're teachers and they're friends and everybody knows songs. And they're like, is that your dad? Is your dad picking you up today? Like, you know, it's cute.
Right.
And it's very sweet because I get to now bring my kids onto stage with me. And the reason I do that is so that they can understand what this all means and how lucky we are to have been able to be in a position where we can make people feel so good. And they get that. They get the same view that I get when I put them on stage. They get to see all those faces smiling and jumping up and down, and you know, and they get to feel that too. And I think that's a really nice thing to be able to share with them.
Are either one of them kind of musically inclined?
They both are, actually.
Really? Okay.
It's kind of crazy. I mean, I say crazy because it can go one way or the other.
Yeah.
They could be like, oh, music, I hear it all the time through dad. I don't want to. I'm into this. But both of them can beatbox. Both of them can freestyle rap. Because I play a game with them in the car ever since they were like 2-3 years old.
How old are they now?
Ava's 11.
Okay.
And Arian's 6.
Okay.
But I play a game with them in the car every day. When I pick them up from school, we freestyle. And in the beginning, when they were like 3, they were like, what does that mean? I was like, I'm going to say a line and you try to rhyme it with something and tell me about your day in school. So now we just play this game. I'm on the way home from school. They were like, blah, 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 in my maths class. And blah. And then all of a sudden, I'm like, my kids are rapping. Like, this is like kind of cool.
That is really cool. And I love to hear about your process too, because it's so unique, like how Down came to be and just like how you're teaching the next generation too as well. What are you most excited for a state of music and some of the new artists to watch out for?
Yeah, I mean, obviously I'm going to say my own artist. Yeah. Why not? I mean, for example, Vea is just an incredible singer. She is actually from Jersey, and I saw her on TikTok.
Really?
And she was singing in her kitchen, and I was like, who is this? What is that voice? How? I couldn't understand how she was that good with no tricks, no auto-tune, no nothing. So we got in touch. Luckily, like I said, she's from Jersey, so we got in touch, and now we've been developing her over the last few years. And we signed a couple of other artists from overseas, right? We signed some people from India, Canada, England. We have a new artist, Akira Jade from England, who we're super excited about. So it's just really nice to see them expressing their music in their own way. I don't get involved in any of it. I'm just like, you do you. I'm just gonna enjoy seeing this whole vibe, and I'll be there for you to support you through anything. There's nothing you can throw at me as an artist of 20-something years that I haven't come across. So if you ever get nervous for a show, I know how to talk to you about it, or whatever it is, or an interview or a podcast or whatever it may be. It's just a really nice experience to be able to share with them.
Is TikTok a way that you discover?
I'd say for sure. I'm a big firm believer that the media source will continue to change of where you discover people, where you get into, where you listen to music, where you watch TV. I mean, we used to have to wait for a song to come on radio. Just wait. What? That sounds insane. In nowadays, like, we just waited. Now people listen to what they want, where they want, and whenever they want. And it's not just on the DSPs. It's not just your Spotify's and Apple Music. A lot of people are just listening to music now on TikTok. They'll like rewatch a video.
Yes, I have done the Shazam on something and been like, where is that song? I need that song. It's so good.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I think it's a great discovery tool.
What's next for you?
Well, I actually, as well as the label, of course, I'm still doing my own music, and that's not going to change anytime soon. For as long as, I feel inspired, and for as long as people will still want me out there, music for me has always been a way of expressing where I am in my life at that moment in time. I might take some time out and just not put anything out because I don't force it.
Yeah.
But when I feel inspired, I'll put something out. So I have a brand new song coming out called Last Call. It's coming in the first week of April.
Okay.
This one, actually, talk about TikTok. I heard this beautiful, beautiful composition on a TikTok video. And it was these it was strings, much like the ones in my songs like Ride It and Stay. And I heard just a composition and I couldn't stop listening to it because it made me feel so like emotional. So I told my friend who produced Ride It, I sent it to him and I said, bro, can you sample this and make a track? Mm-hmm. We'll deal with the clearance stuff later. Mm-hmm. I just want to write something to this. So he made a track, I wrote something to it, and it's a really beautiful song called Last Call. And we sent it to the composer and he gave us his blessing to use it. He was like, I absolutely love what you did with this. And now it's coming out. It's an actual song.
I can't wait to hear it.
Yeah,
that's so exciting.
I really love it.
Do you still get you've been doing it for so long, but do you still get nervous before you release this song? Like, what do you feel?
Yeah, it's excitement. Yeah, actually, and it's not about how it performs. It's not about, is this gonna be a smash or is this gonna flop or is anyone gonna care? It's never about that. You know what it's about? It's about getting it off my computer and putting it out into the world.
Yeah. That's
the best feeling, to go, right now, only I know it exists, me and like 10 people. No one else has heard it. Mm-hmm. It's just that kind of, you feel like a little kid going, and then, ta-da, here it is, and the whole world gets it in a split second. That's insane that you can put something out to the entire planet in a second. And that's an amazing thing to be able to do, I think, for your art, something that means a lot to you, to then get it out to the whole world and see if it makes anyone feel a certain way. It's, let's see.
I can't wait to hear it.
Yeah.
Jay Sean, thank you so much for sitting down with me. Yeah. This is like if you told 15-year-old me, and I know I've told you this before, that I'd be sitting here talking to you about how Down was made. Right. I wouldn't believe myself.
Oh, I love
So
that.
It's a dream come true. I've loved learning about your process, learning about you, and just, you're so cool.
Thank you so much. No, this has been a really nice chat.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.